I'm Giulia Ricci. I'm the Cultural Programs Coordinator at John Cabot University, an American university in the heart of Rome. This project was born in collaboration with, of course, the festival FESCAAAL, in particular with Cassant and Simona. We were more than happy to collaborate with them and to be part of this beautiful project because we care a lot about diversity, culture, multiculturalism. In our university, we have many clubs representing a lot of cultures spread all over the world. And so we believe that this festival was the right occasion for us to show also our multicultural environment, atmosphere, and to be part of something that, of course, was very precious for our students, to interact with other students, another environment, another professional environment, not only from the cultural point of view, but also from the professional one. Of course, Battima is a beautiful, it was impressed me a lot, but also Come le lumanche. I particularly loved also the way that they describe the relationship, not only from the cultural point of view, but somehow also from the spiritual point of view, because the story about these two friends, we can say, was somehow described in a very deep way, in a very spiritual way, with a connection that was about also with the nature, but also trying to be seen by another human being. And that surprised me a lot, because this is what also that we're trying to do at our university. So go beyond the culture, beyond the diversity, and look for something that can connect humankind, which is always present, but not always seen and followed by our mind.
Hi, I'm Federico Demattè. I'm the coordinator of student activities at John Cabot University. As Julia was saying, we are a very multicultural. We do value multiculturalism and diversity a lot, and we thought, the festival was the perfect fit for our mission and the mission of our students and our student clubs, and many of them you see represented here today. So yeah. Do you guys want to respond to the film question?
Which one? All 5 of the films that we had the opportunity to see were amazing. I think we were actually speaking earlier, and Lily had added that each and every single one of them deserved to have won. But I guess specifically with Battima, it reflects kind of the subtlety and nuance of racism. I think we often think of racism as something that is very upfront and direct and confrontational, and it can oftentimes, especially in the modern era, be a far more subtle experience. And to be able to depict that on screen and allow viewers to see that relationship I think it's very, very powerful. Reflective of humanity and what it looks like to try and navigate being a human being in a modern world, especially with all the history that we have as a global society. And I think oftentimes that's behind us, and it's like a lot of that is still part of what we experience today, and being able to depict it and allowing people to see something on screen and feel seen and feel heard. I think that's the power of cinema and film.
Yeah, we all were talking about how all of the films did a great job of showing and not really saying as much, but everyone understood the ideas and the emotions and the struggles that were supposed to be conveyed. And I think that's also just the power of cinema, is showing more than saying, and still able to get your point across and still be able to affect and leave a mark on the viewers.
Yeah, and I would go off of that, where I feel like the winner of our deliberations, Battima, that ending really resonated with me, in that it kind of leaves you with this understanding that these things are continuous, and racism is a continuous issue that is felt. And I think also the Italian perspectives of the filmmakers was really interesting for me to see, because as a student here, maybe I don't see all these things all the time, and I'm not as acquainted with the culture, but it was really enlightening to see these different struggles that are still very almost, universal, that impact certain communities. And so yeah, for that, I was really grateful for those films, and especially Battima. Through the characters and their stories, obviously, I think that was the greatest impact, but also I think like the settings of everything, especially in like Snails, the setting of the forest, and it was just really interesting to see that and kind of combine environments with people and kind of the dynamics of those settings like intertwining. It's different from American films that I've seen also. So
yeah, I agree. Coming from an American film student perspective, it's sometimes tough to be confronted with media from other continents, and I think it's really important for the European and the American viewer to be confronted with these things. And I think you could tell that the Italian directors definitely had input from people in the culture, because they really captured these emotions and feelings, and I can't see how they would do that without the input of people in the community and like really diving into what it means and what it means to feel a certain way. So yeah, I think they did a really good job with that.
There exists this notion in Italy that racism is not a thing that happens here. So to have actual Italian filmmakers present the films and like depict cultural struggles or certain pushbacks with integration into the societies is far more meaningful, because it's one thing to depict, to have a film translated to you and given to you, but when you're actually from the society, you're able to allow the community at large to also understand that it is an issue. And I think also a lot of the films, I think about 3 of them, were dealing with immigrants, like we're the first or second generation immigrants, and like with the migrant crisis in Italy as well, that also, it creates a conversation and not so much of a, oh, this doesn't exist, or trying to look at it solely from like a bureaucratic or government level. It makes it social, because it is a social issue. Like people integrate into the society and they're equally as Italian as someone that is maybe ethnically Italian, but they still don't experience maybe the same rights, the same treatment. So having Italian filmmakers depict that, it's meaningful towards where Italy could be in the next 10, 20 years. Like that'll be a very different cultural landscape through the power of like cinema and art, as opposed to not having those discussions. So.
Yeah, we had a tough time trying to decide, rightfully so. I think a lot of the films impacted us in different ways. We did decide on Battima as our winner, but it was not easy. We had a lot of back and forth. We were on the same page about a few, but it was tough to narrow down. But I think we're happy with our decision. I think we all fleshed out all of our ideas on each film, and we're happy with it, but it was very, very tough. Like very, very hard for everyone to be raw. Like, what did we do?
Yeah, so for me, I really enjoyed Battima, but like Snails was probably my favorite. It discovered, I think, a world of just the experience of an immigrant coming into Italian culture, as well as just navigating, like Emma said, what it means to be human. So human sexuality, coming into yourself, understanding just life and how we functioned in society. And I think it explored a lot of beauty through nature, and something that I feel like we lose sight of in today's society is connecting with the thing that makes us human, which is existing and being in nature. It just showed a lot of beautiful imagery that really was representative of what the characters were going through, so I really enjoyed that.
I really enjoyed Ancora non lo so, because in my experience, I came here to Italy in a very, I would say, young age. In this short film, I felt they portrayed a girl that was in a very important stage of her life in another country with different challenges. That was very interesting to see, and I really enjoyed it overall.
Yeah, I would agree. Fortunately for me, I come from like a family of immigrants, but I'm from the United States. So to see the sort of dynamics that the daughter and her mother had, and even just the different cultural dynamics she would have in the house and even outside of the house with her Italian friends, was very, very much relatable. And I liked the way in which the film sort of juxtaposes these things, whether it be like just the position of where the characters were from each other, or just like the environments she was in.
I really like Ancora non lo so too, because I also come from a Muslim family, and coming here, I just really resonated with the girl in that, because she had this conflict between her wanting to be herself at the same time pleasing her mom and aligning with her culture and the values that she comes from. I like that movie a lot, but my favorite favorite overall was Battima because it showed a form of implicit racism without any words. It was just like, yeah, it was very impactful, I would say. The favorite of the group, mine, because coming from a family of immigrants from Ethiopia, I was born here, so I can tell in everyday life how racism can be played out in very indirect ways, not specifically like with words, but how people treat you and how they misunderstand your intentions. So it was very emotional to see. It was very well done, and I loved how the emotion of the protagonist was played out, especially at the end with the eyes. You could tell how much he was suffering from the eyes itself. So. I just want to say thank you to FESCAAAL. I think all of us can agree that it was a really enlightening experience for us to all come into this space and just be together and see these viewings. I think it's really important for the European viewer to be confronted with this media and to learn more about the continents that were depicted. I think it's a very educational experience and a very needed and important experience in Italy and beyond to be shown these films and to really bring light to these topics.
Yes, we hope to be met next year.